Good afternoon and welcome to our second Q&A session with Kuya Management. I'm Tyson King, VP Corp Development of Kuya, and joining me again today is David Stein, President and CEO of the company. Thank you for everyone that submitted questions last week. Please do keep them coming and we'll do our best to address them at the next session. And just as a reminder, you can send any questions to info@kuyasolar.com or you can submit them on the contact page on our website. Something that we receive a lot of questions on is just on Bethania resource block and exploration potential. So maybe today we can take some time to kind of run through our interpretation, and perhaps you have a leapfrog model here that we can kind of run through the different veins and potential of those at depths and along strike.
So let's start here. We've got the top topography on. I'll just rotate it a little bit so you can kind of see basically the resource area and the historical Bethania mine. Our office and stuff would be, around here, just outside of the main adit. The mineralization, is thought to go all the way through this hill, and you have on this other side, it's probably not mapped quite correctly because it's kind of sticking out of the side of the mountain here, but this is a Espanola dos vein here. So we don't have any assays from there, but we do. It was mined, in the recent past. So this will be essentially our first target. Will be to take our current mine area here, and which is open at depth, but then also look at connecting it up with Espanola dos here, possibly even further. So then we've got a valley here, and then we do have some mineralization noted on the other side of the valley. So there's definitely potential here, but the first order of business will be connecting this, and that alone would double the strike length of our deposit, more or less. So that's what we're going to do. Now I'm going to fade this topography so you can see the mine now. What I have shown here are the mine workings and the two main veins. So this is the red is Doce de Mayo. The pink is the main Espanola vein. There are other minor veins that we have in the resource. Those are the two major ones, and you can kind of see they're subparallel to one another. Most of the mining, even in these branching veins, has been very close to the main vein. So there's a lot of open space in the middle, actually, that's still prospective for finding new veins. This is it's a vein system here that we know these two are related. We know there's these branching veins that go into this middle here. You can see some of them that were mined. This one is a Veda Victoria, which we use in our presentation, actually. Very, very rich vein. It's not super big, as you can see yet, but it's very rich. But it is open along strike into the middle space here. And then we have a few others that have been found. Essentially, as they drift along these veins, they find other ones. And then even when they went across here, this drift is essentially to connect up with Espanola here, just for ease of transport within the mine. But they did intersect a zone here. This is not part of our resource, but there are some good grades on that. That could be another target in the future. So those are the two main veins. So that's just, gives you kind of an understanding. All these circles essentially are assays that we have along the various drifts. So this is the lowest level, is the 640 level. Anything that is orange, red, definitely ore. Yellow might be ore, depending on how close it is to some of the other veins. There is a lot of material here. Again, we'd have the same thing on the other side, but there's no 640 level here yet because we haven't gone down that deep on the Espanola. That will be something that obviously can do once we reopen the mine. That will be a priority development area for us. You can see we've got a lot of still open space at depth here, and certainly there's nothing magical about the end of this polygon here. We expect the mineralization will go even deeper, so that'll be something that we will target when we do our drilling, if not now in the current drill program, in probably the next one. So we'll have some holes down here where I'm pointing, so we may be able to drag this resource down a little bit, even more in the second half of the year. We could do even deeper drilling. This is a plan of just the one mine level, the 670 level. And you can see we have all these samples denoted on here, essentially every meter or so along the vein, sometimes more, when there's a real hot zone. One thing that sticks out, Veda Victoria here where I'm pointing, so it's sort of branching off of the main vein. And you can see in this particular area, you got a meter of 70 plus ounces per ton plus 11% lead and, high copper and zinc as well. So this is just a spectacular zone here with quite a distance. And it's sort of indicative of what you would expect when you do have two veins intersecting one another as well. So you've got the higher grade zone within Veda Victoria is right where it intersects with Doce de Mayo. What's nice is we have so many veins here. We're going to have a lot of these vein intersections. While you can have some great veins in the main part of the vein, you can get some great grades as well. But when you have these intersections of two or more veins, then you get these blowout zones, which are thicker and have higher grades. And that's going to be obviously an area that we want to target and be mining from. So you get some of these really spectacular zones here with a lot of thickness and very extraordinary high grades. I think this section here would be the next level of the Veda Victoria vein at depth. So you still got some 40s, high 40s in there. Very high grades. Remember, our average head grade is only 15 ounces. So anytime when you have double or triple that, that's going to blend in with lower grade ore, but you're getting still a spectacular result. We'll expect to see more of that as we move along strike, because there will more than likely be more of these offshooting veins. And that gives you vein intersections, which give you the blowout zones, which are the higher grades and bigger thicknesses. Who knows what else we have in the middle here between these two very strong veins, predictable, Espanola and Doce de Mayo. We also have all this open space, which really is unexplored, because the way the previous operators explored was through essentially drifting. So they would only go where they were quite certain there would be ore to mine. So that's why you have some of these veins going off in this direction, but they don't go much further than where there's sort of immediate ore, and that leaves a lot of open space here for future discoveries.
What about a depth here? We're only dealing with a few hundred meters from surface. What's your interpretation of what to expect as we start to drill deeper down? Do you expect continuity in these veins? What are we looking at in the bigger picture here?
Yeah, I mean, let's zoom out and. Getting back to your question, Tyson, in terms of the depth potential, this red polygon here, that probably gives us about between maybe 200 to 250 meters of vertical extent. And, we know that these veins can go much deeper. They can go hundreds of meters deep. Some similar high-grade vein mines in Mexico and elsewhere in Peru can be going, even a kilometer deep. They pinch and swell. They're not necessarily like a sheet of paper, but there is lots of potential at depth for both of these veins, lots of opportunity for more of these splays to happen. So really, it's as much about just doing the drilling. It's a methodical process. We're not discovering the wheel. We're not necessarily doing anything that's super risky. We just need to drill more at depth, which has never been done before on this project. I'm very confident that we'll pick up ounces, and a lot of ounces. And then, obviously extending it with the strike length is a great opportunity as well, because these are actually going to be shallower ounces. So that's always nice to have. And then you still have all the depth potential down here as well. But we can start with Espanola Dos being very close to surface, figure out how much resource we have here, and then follow it at depth. And likely it will be more or less the same as whatever we have over here.
Yeah, great. Yeah, I think that gives a good overview of our model. It's the first time we've actually opened this up. Shows the potential and our general plan moving forward here. If anyone has any further questions about this, please send us an email at info@kuyasilver.com, and please make sure you keep those questions coming, and we'll do our best to address them as soon as possible. Also, be sure to follow us online on our social media: LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.